Let's see if League Master is currently available, shall we? With League Master, I mean, of course, the Metaverse lead, the Valhalla lead, Mr. Brownwill, who is in charge of leading the Valhalla team. Hey, Mr. Brownwill.
Hello, Mr. Notterwell. 1 second while I get everything ready here internally.
Of course, of course. He is here with us, guys. We already have 95 viewers in the stream, which is awesome. Let me just change the scene so you guys can look at something else rather than the intro screen. We have Mr. Brownmill live on Twitch, so if you guys have anything, any burning questions, no pun intended, maybe drop it in the chat. Maybe he can address those. I'm sure he has something very interesting to share with us as well, as we are gearing up to kick off this Bonfire event, which will be a very exciting event.
As we are nearing some great catalysts internally with the Valhalla team, the more we expose, the more eyes are on those catalysts as well. So in some way, we're also feeding the competition, which in some ways is good for the entire space, basically, right? But yeah, some things we just want to keep close to heart until we are ready to actually release it. And I think, yeah, the coming weeks, months, you'll be seeing, yeah, things coming to life that we've worked a lot on. And that's also why I'm here, by the way, to introduce or reintroduce the tradition of AMAs, making sure that you are up to date with what's happening behind the scenes. But not just Valhalla, also crypto in general, NFTs. I think the real OGs remember my early Telegram VCs where I just spoke about NFTs and educating about crypto in general. Yeah, I would like to introduce or reintroduce that tradition, perhaps with you as well, not a will. I don't know if you're up to that game or
Bro, I
what's
am
up.
game. Yeah, especially because it's pretty impromptu. That makes it a lot more exciting because, I like it when things just happen on the spot. So, guys, you heard Mr. Brownwill. Let's just drop some awesome questions that you may have for Mr. Brownwill. I saw a when Coinbase question. I don't think that's the kind of type of question that we are looking for right now. But, take advantage of this opportunity because Mr. Brownwill is very busy. He's always working in the background. So, when we do have him on Twitch, let's use that time to the fullest extent. So let's start with the first question. Let's see. When farming? Okay, I'm going to ask this one. It's a when question, but I feel this one from Mango. Everyone is so excited who's playing Valhalla for this farming update. I'm not sure if you can share anything on that, Mr. Brownville.
Yeah, farming. Yeah, just obviously Mango that's asking that question. Yeah, I must say farming is on its way. We definitely have an interesting, fun, innovative plan to implement it. I don't think, while we do get inspiration from traditional games to obviously do these things, I think none of the Web3 games has implemented it as we want to implement it. And I'm also pretty sure that the exact way we're implementing it hasn't been done by a traditional game as well. But yeah, to be honest, I don't know all traditional games, right? I don't know all the normal games. So probably there will be some examples that look like it. But I think it's a fun game. I think it's the farming, yeah, side game, or how do you want to call it? It can be, yeah, a game on its own, let's say, within Valhalla. So if you don't like the Veras, I do think that you need Veras though to farm optimally. They will have their own uh, special strengths. I need to be careful, not leak too much. But yeah, they will impact the way you farm, the strategies, what you want to farm, and your strategic placements, etc., etc. But yeah, farming is going to be fun. I cannot divulge too much. Also, to be completely honest, is because while we do have game design ready, we do want to keep the freedom to tweak here and there to make sure that um, Well, to dive deeper, there are a few variables, right, in game development that we have to keep in mind. One is how feasible is it to do it? Two, how many people will enjoy it, as to how niche this thing is, and three, how long will it take to develop? And as we are nearing specific catalysts, we want to keep the development cycles pretty short. So while we have enormous, gigantic, ambitious plans for farming, we also need to make sure, like, okay, you know what? We're going to cut off farming up till here, and then we can add on to that specific building block later on. So yeah, um, gave you a bit of an insight of how we think and how we're doing things.
Interesting. Thanks for that insight, Mr. Brownwell. I can't wait for farming, to be honest. I like it because it adds another system to the game, and the more systems that are introduced in the game, the more appealing it is to various players. So if you're not really into battling, you can maybe be into looting resources or into farming, I guess, is among that. Questing, whatever it is. Let's hop on to the next question. So
Mhm.
with the last update, the Heimdall update, we also saw ships being introduced to the game. Personally, I just have to share this. I am on 3 iron right now. Put
Okay.
in quite some hours, but I heard that the drop rates will increase. What's the plan for these ships, for the clan ships?
So the plan is, that's a broad question, but in terms of your loot rates, your loot drop, basically it's going to be significantly increased because we saw the grind, and we think that the grind is okay, but not at testnet. I think you guys deserve, for all the effort you're putting in, to deserve to test the game optimally, and that means that you sometimes get shortcuts to specific milestones within the game. So we're going to up the drop rates, and yeah, back to your question. What is the plan for clans? Yeah, there are also very ambitious plans, but for now, I would say I would be very glad to have a ship, to upgrade the ship, and to gather unique blueprints and show it off. Because at some point in the future, that ship might also be the place where you, yeah, where you invite your clanmates or other people to drink a glass of drink. How do you say this the most Viking way? To grab pint or to drink some beer
uh,
or
so like meat, I don't know. They, I'm not
yeah,
really.
yeah, to drink some meat indeed, or some non-alcoholic beverage for the people that don't drink alcohol, right? So yeah, it's going to be we're going to, yeah, expand on it in ways that you probably don't think right now, because the most obvious way would be, oh, I'm going to sail on the sea, etc., etc. But we think of the clan ship or your own ship as a, yeah, as your own, well, I'm going to leak quite a bit now, but that is our plan, and I'm not saying, hey, that's going to be ready at mainnet or pretty soon. But do you know Habbo Hotel?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so we see the clan ship as your own, let's say, floor in that hotel.
Oh, interesting. So when you mentioned upgrading your ship, that would be worth it earlier in this conversation, it reminded me a bit of upgrading your Fera NFTs because with Feras you can battle other Feras in PvE or PvP. Is something like that also possible with ships later on, you think? Like,
Yeah, I
battling.
think yeah, that's a good point. I think whenever raiding will be introduced, the ships. So initially we had planned for ships to have cargo, right? So how many Veras can you take with you on a raid? How much food do you stock or whatever Veras eat on the ship as well? So those kind of elements. I think we've moved away from that a little bit, as in it would be too complex and too, let's say, ambitious in terms of development to make it work, to make all these systems work with each other, if you know what I mean. But we definitely feel that yeah, now I'm going to share a bit about the raiding stuff, but that the plans that we have for raiding, that your ship and the amount of Vera you can bring with you on the ship if you raid has an impact in how how do I put this? Yeah, well, how much battle power you have. And battle power is just something I came up with, but I think that covers the package. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I also think that it is important to note for the ones that are in the Twitch right now that it is hard sometimes to give definitive answers on stuff because in this space things move so fast and you want to stay flexible. You want to leave some wiggle room. So you can change and adapt when it's needed, whether it's a specific chain, whether it's a specific mechanic. As of now, I believe that Valhalla is already the largest or on track to become the largest infrastructure-wise game on the blockchain so far. And with infrastructure, I mean in terms of smart contracts. I think Jackie dropped the term, the amount 200 or something like that. I don't even want to know how much time and effort went into that, but it just goes to show that Valhalla is not your average blockchain game. On that note, we have another interesting question. This one is from Rice, and this is a pretty big question, I think. But let's see what League Master has to say if he stays true to his name. Rice is saying,
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about the play to earn aspect of Valhalla, will this come from the trading of the NFTs in the marketplace, or will there be a conversion between Runix to Floki, etc.?
So, well, that's an actual very good question. I do think that my main focus of this game, and that is not how you as players and the DAO eventually want to further develop this game, but my vision is indeed that the primary value driver or value holder in this game will be the NFTs. So trading valuable NFTs, but they don't gain value on their own. Obviously, scarcity is something, right, that holds or maintains value at some points. But there also needs to be an underlying driver to like, hey, okay, but what can I do with this NFT other than show it off to actually perhaps make money with it, right? And that will come from in one tournaments, 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, sponsored tournaments perhaps, or I'm saying perhaps, but like we do have an amazing biz dev team, so pretty sure that a lot of people would like to have exposure among our Valhalla or Floki players, the Vikings. Um, but also indeed Runix, which is a huge, which is the de facto currency within the game. I don't think we'll do. Yeah, we can create a bridge. I think that's possible. I don't think that's necessary. I do think that the items you buy with that currency are tradable in Floki or ETH or whatever currency you want to use. So I don't think a one-on-one conversion would be necessary. But if it's needed, we could do it because, as you might know, the Valhalla treasury is humongous, especially at the current prices, crazy large. So that would be possible. For now, we envision that you as a player, the more you play, the more Runix and Floki you can get as a reward. So you wouldn't need to, in the beginning at least, need to convert your Runix to Floki to actually gain, if you want to really play to earn, from your playstyle or the amount of playing you're doing, basically. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Um, It's you said a lot of interesting things. I want to ask like 10 more questions to, dive deeper into it, but I also want to stick to the questions that are being asked in the chat. I saw that we spiked over 200 viewers just a couple minutes ago, so that's a lot of interest. That's amazing. You mentioned something about buying materials. And so I already noticed myself, it was, it took quite a bit of time. It was a little bit of a grind to get a lot of materials for your ship, to upgrade the ship, and so forth and so on. And so some players may want to buy materials from other players or in B shop. On that note, will we be able to trade things like iron or those kind of materials from other players, or will they be added to B's shop later on?
They will be added to B Shop as well. So we're we're researching different and playtesting different ideas. So one can be, and that's obviously the best one, the most free and decentralized one is okay, everything is in your wallet. So yeah, you can also send it to other people. You can just trade it. But an easier way to balance the game basically and influx and outflux of specific materials would be you're able to sell it to B Shop, and B Shop is also selling it to other people. And supply and demand get, let's say, um, how do you call it, weighted or balanced by B's shop. So B is basically balancing the price of each thing, and every day or every week or whatever metric we choose, we just reset the balancing button to make sure that the balance doesn't get out of proportion, so that new players are never able to to get a specific resource, if you know what I mean.
That makes sense. I can already see this trending in the TG. B is balancing. Talk about a slogan. Nice one.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to a different segment. We were talking about materials. What about rating? So this question is from Sergeant Maroof, if I'm not mistaken. He's asking, does rating affect other players' loot, like stats if they lose? So I think this is a pretty broad question. I'll try to narrow it down a little bit. For example, maybe you can rate another island or another player. Maybe you can, literally steal his materials, or maybe you can battle his
Mhm.
Pharaoh. If he loses, his Pharaoh will become weaker. I think it's in terms of that, like a sort of a punishment for the other player that's on the other side of on the other aisles, so to say, when you rate him.
Yeah, so basically, does rating impact somebody else's, let's say, status quo in terms of resources or Vera or whatever? And yes, it does. So I don't think, I don't think, because we had some pretty hardcore ideas floating, like, oh, you can capture a defending Farah and keep him hostage, or use it to your own benefit. I think that's pretty hardcore. I don't think that is the way that we want to go right now. So you'll be able to lose some of, you will able to lose things, but I don't think it will be that valuable, because that will be like, let's say, Diablo 2 hardcore mode, where you've worked your ass off, perhaps paid thousands of euros for something, and then suddenly, because of one moment you didn't pay attention, it's all gone. So while we do think that rewarding and punishing players for being good and bad, I think that's too hardcore. But you will lose stuff. You will lose stuff if you lose.
Yeah, I agree also with that last note. Given that the treasury, I saw a mention of 63 million worth of Floki tokens in the Valhalla treasury right now. If you have that much of an incentive, that strong of an incentive to play Valhalla, especially when you live in an underprivileged area in the world, and then you lose all your stuff potentially. When you lose a battle or you don't pay attention for a minute, you can potentially ruin someone's life or cause some serious harm. And I don't think that's the right thing to do. But definitely some form of punishment is in play. You want to keep a little bit of this competitive drive, I think. So I'm sure that that will be balanced in the back end.
Yeah, you need to have it, because else your NFTs won't be worth anything. If you cannot, like, like players are driven by a few things. They're driven by status, to show off, right? To, like, hey, I'm the best, but also through destroying other people and making sure that other people feel the wrath of your hammer, Thor's hammer in this case, for instance. So you will be able to feel powerful and do damage to other people's progress. But indeed, I think we'll balance it together. I think eventually it will be up to the DAO. So that's the beauty of this. I have my vision, and Jackie has his vision, and we've always communicated our vision, and taking you with us. But eventually it will be the DAO that takes control of this game.
Yeah.
That's the beauty.
True, true. You mentioned NFTs earlier in your response. I know that you're pretty specialized in that niche. So I wanted to address this question from Sergeant Maroof, talking about NFTs. He asked that if NFT holders get special things like the ship trade or the early event tickets, I believe that is trade C, can anyone who get them later also be eligible for their rewards? So I think he means, like, let's say you have the Easter event, and this event is, let's say, hypothetically, you can only attend this with an NFT that has trait C. So in this event, you can capture a big hair, but later on, the big hair gets introduced to the game, and everyone is able to tame that Pharaoh. Are there like really unique benefits to NFT holders. We have the Genesis, Gemstone, and Floki NFTs that will play a role in Valhalla. Or is it maybe a nice to have, a little advantage, or something that you might be able to get earlier than the others?
Point. So for each of them, we have different ideas. So for the flow guitars, we have different because you need to burn the flow guitar. You get something in return, not only in-game loot, but also, yeah, some fun, unique thing that you can utilize. That's not specifically an advantage in the game, but it's definitely fun to have and it enhances your gameplay. The loot will be so the loot that you'll get because you burned the flow guitar, yeah, will be an advantage obviously to the game, but it is some you'll get something probably that's very rare to get. But if you use it, it's gone. But you'll also get something that's reusable. And yeah, I'm not going to share too much about it. You'll have to wait, but it's fun. For the gems, the Genesis NFTs, they they're going to give you a specific advantage in the game as well. Um, Yet, let's say, increased healing, because right now your Vera is always healed max if you get out of a battle. We intend to change that. So that's also an aspect that you need to, yeah, be mindful of if you want to keep grinding, keep leveling. Well, it might be handy to have increased rate of healing, for instance. Um, and the amulets will also play a role in that. But yeah, let's say the gems or the Genesis NFTs, one of them will at least be able to increase that. So these kind of things you can think about with the Genesis NFTs. And if we get all of them, you obviously get the Floki Mandu buff. We haven't forgot about that, and that's also going to be pretty interesting. But more in line with the question you asked, as in access to specific events, that's also going to be gated through these things. So, but to be honest, indeed, I do think that that will be, hey, guys, you guys and girls, or Vikings, Vikings, and everything in between. You get access to to this specific area where you can fight the big hair boss, and if you win, you get level 1 big hairs, because level ones. Oh yeah, that's something I'm not sure if I'm going to want to leak that, but you get level 1 big hairs if you win, and then if you and nobody else has access to them. But later on, obviously, in the game, they will be able to find them themselves. But you get a head start on these things. You get a start on New Vera. But now I'm thinking about it. I don't think it will be. It will be only NFT holders that will be able to enter those things. I think we also need to give players without NFTs the chance to enter such a special event, be it being number 1, 2, or 3 of a specific leaderboard. We also will grant them access to those things. Or, for instance, if they've grinded and they are very lucky, they also can get a ticket to these things. So I think I've divulged a bit, right, on
Yeah,
what
I
you
mean,
want to know. Yeah.
you touched enough on that. I think, yeah. Thanks for that answer. And I think the flow guitars, NFT wise, are the most requested. How do you say that? Like, I get the most amount of questions during the streams, and I see them in the TG as well about in terms of their utility and if we can get any leaks on that. I think this is a great answer, and this, should provide some fuel for the until the next AMA, where we can try to squeeze a little bit more out of juice out of Mr. Brownwheel. But yeah, thanks for that. I want to switch gears a little bit. We've been talking about the NFTs now. Let's talk a little bit about the something broader, because this is also, I think, in the top 3 most frequently asked questions about a game app, maybe the phone, stuff like that. For some people, the
Mhm.
game might be lagging a little bit. Do keep in mind, guys, it's still on testnet. The servers and all the content are still being optimized and stuff. But I know that some people just prefer to play on a desktop app, whether they accept the trade-off of more centralization or whatnot. I think you can you can elaborate more on that. Is that in the pipeline? And if so, is it in the near future, a desktop app or the mobile version of Valhalla?
Um, yeah, good question. Yes, we are currently also working on um, other versions than web, and we've also been testing mobile. And
Ooh.
yeah, so yeah, no, we're working on it. We're working on it. I cannot give definitive timelines, but let's say yeah, it's just it's working it's being worked on in parallel to developing features for Floki for Valhalla itself to make it bigger and more immersive. But we're also looking at those things, desktop, mobile. I think they are great markets. I think mobile, if we open up, so if the marketing machine opens, I think having mobile would be amazing. So yeah,
Yep.
we're working on it.
For sure. Oh, that's great to hear. I think about Floki's marketing machinery, we don't have to question that since we have Saber, but that's very interesting. I just, if you want to touch a little bit more on that, to put it into perspective for the people that don't really know the difference. Let's say we have now the Web3 version. You can play on Valhalla.game and press play. But what is the difference when you have a desktop version? What does that allow for more memory, and that will translate to smoother gameplay,
Yeah,
or what is kind of the
good.
benefit or maybe the trade-off?
Yeah, good question. So the trade-off is definitely yeah, the risk that somebody can download a malicious file and that's a Trojan and that wipes your crypto, right? So it's not accessible on the web where nothing is on your computer basically. But the positive is that yeah, there are no different builds. There is just one huge world. Um, Increased quality of textures. We don't have to, because right now we're constantly maxing whatever WebGL can handle. So the lag, the graphics not well. I think the graphics look okay right now. I think I'm pretty happy if I look at the game like, oh, good game. But obviously on desktop we can go way harder on that. Not to say that when we have desktop it will already be at that level, because we so something about the development process or the art process basically. So they create these assets, these art assets that you see in the game at a specific resolution, and then we need to downscale it to a resolution that's acceptable for WebGL. So that's why sometimes when I leak something that's in development, it looks way better than sometimes you see it in the game, right? That's because if we would put it in the game like we've created it, yeah, your potato of a machine, or even if you have a good machine, would be fried instantly, and you can yeah eat fried potatoes. So it wouldn't work. But when we have desktop, we don't have those limitations, so we can put everything in at the quality we've made it. But sometimes we also make stuff with a bit less quality. So in order to prevent that you're in a game on desktop where, hey, this tree looks awesome, very detailed, and then you see one of the mangoes or the fruits that you're farming, and they're like, okay, they don't look as quality. So we're going to downscale it to the best quality or the worst quality we have of everything, and then gradually upgrade everything to the max quality we can give it on desktop. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. As in, the trade-off will primarily be that a desktop app will grant you almost no lag, or at least no performance issues, better quality, and one big world instead of having to switch between builds.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And the
Uh,
fun thing is, and that is something that none of our competitors are doing currently, is the Heimdall system that we have. We're working on making mobile and desktop, if we are going to launch it, as seamless as web. So basically, that yeah, that things are happening behind the scenes. You just connect your wallet, and yeah, perhaps you need to fund it with a bit of currency, right? and after that it's smooth sailing without having to press all these transactions to play.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that a lot of these upgrades, whether you see them in the game right now or they are just implemented in the background or in the smart contract infrastructure, some of these upgrades just set the foundation for later major upgrades. It's like a layer that they continue to build upon. I'm not a dev, so I don't really. I'm not going to pretend like I know everything, but it feels like that. And yeah, the Heimdall update definitely confirmed that because it's very good that the lower the barrier, the lowest you can make it, and it also has to stay safe, of course, the more people are going to be attracted to the game. The fact of the matter is that many people don't want to put in a lot of effort to play a game or
Mhm.
whatever it is, learn, educate themselves on certain things. They want things the easy way. So if we can facilitate that, I think that's awesome, especially if it's a industry first type of thing. Um, Staying on this
Absolutely.
broader, like this bird view image in terms of the questions, and if there's time left, we can ask maybe a couple more detailed questions of Valhalla. But Rijst asked an interesting question, and this one is also a bit zoomed out, in regards to continental servers. Long term, will we see these servers be completely split, such as the Chinese version can only be on Asian servers, etc., or will it be cross-platform? So I can see someone who's playing from China, from Germany, from Poland, etc.
Yeah, a very good question. Also, something we've been testing internally, and we have different opinions on internally as well. Um, because practically, it doesn't make sense for somebody from China to play on a server that's in Europe because they have gigantic, enormous ping. I'm using other words because sometimes my speech just
Oh, tell
trickles.
me about it, man. It happens
Yeah,
every day
yeah,
for
yeah.
me.
So yeah, so it doesn't make sense to have high ping players play with low ping players. The latency will just be too high. But my dream is that you can see indeed different. So I love seeing anime Vikings with normal Vikings in the same game. So I like to see that. I love to see that. I think that, and I have had a lot of fights with this within our art department because they're all about consistency, which is their right and which is also good because that's how you create a game, right? Consistent art styles, etc., etc. Everything has to fit together. But I'm trying to convince them about the next leap, as in, look at the Ready Player One. You have all these different type of people or avatars in the same game, and okay, it looks off because on one end you have a very stylized character, and then you have a very, let's say, animated or like unrealistic or a very realistic one, um, standing next to each other, and it gets a bit concerning for art people because they're like, that doesn't feel correct. That's totally off. But I feel like no, that's the future. I think everybody should be able to play as who they want in this enormous or showcase themselves in the metaverse. And that also means that if there are clashing art styles, you just need to make them fit, and it doesn't mean that they fit seamlessly. It just means that, oh, hmm, it doesn't look that bad if they stand together. So yeah, I'm yeah, it's not the question that you asked, as in the servers and the people from the world seeing each other. I think we need to leave that choice to people. I think in the end we'll just set up a few servers and you can pick and choose where you want to play. But I definitely think that anime version and the normal version should be able to mix in one specific server. I don't know if the question
Yeah.
was aimed at that, but
No, that makes
yeah.
sense. Yep. Thanks for that. Talking about the characters, just a quick question, and it's more of a detailed question, more zoomed in. But I know because on Twitch, a lot of people ask for this, and in the TG, I see it as well. When creating your own character, once it's created, I think during one of our previous AMAs, you expanded on this and said, like, when you have built your character, when you've created and confirmed it on the blockchain, It's your NFT. You can't really change it. That's that. But in the process of creating your character, when answering this questionnaire, we don't see, you don't see the answers being translated to your character right away. So it's kind of a surprise what you come out with, how it turns out. Will we see like this live view being added to the game in the future?
So that also is a point of contention where I think that no, you shouldn't. As in, I also foresee trading in Vikings, so that perhaps you've minted a Viking with, let's say, a bald head, green eyes, and only a mustache, and you're like, no, I want a beard and I don't know, some hair at least. And then you go on to the market and see which Vikings are for sale. So who is willing to like sell their Viking to you? Something that complicates this idea though is that we are now going towards a version where everything is attached to your Viking. So if you sell your Viking, you're also selling everything that's in your belt, everything that's with the Viking. So all the Veras that he has caught, or he or she has caught, and clothes, etc., etc. So that complicates it a bit, which makes us go towards the see what you're building more. But to be honest, my vision is that every Viking that you create should be a surprise. And yes, the questionnaire, which will be very, very much expanded, by the way, will have an impact or will have the impact. But I don't think that knowing or building a character it will create so many of the same characters. I don't like that. I want everybody, just like CryptoPunks, and perhaps that's just my bias of NFTs playing a part here, right? I think the CryptoPunks, uh, Crypto Kitties, even Bored Ape Yacht Club, etc., having different avatars makes it more valuable. Because if you can create your character, let's say Cyberpunk, I played Cyberpunk a lot, I played Mass Effect a lot, I played Dragon Age a lot, but I can say that if I look at other people playing that game, a lot of them go towards the same type of character. And that makes the journey less unique for me. That's why I am within our team. And again, I want to stress that there are people within the team that would like it the way that you've just said, like, hey, I want to see what I'm going to create. You know what I mean? But I feel like, hey, if you create something unique that's nobody else has, just like in CryptoPunks, when I don't know if all of you are familiar with that NFT project. I'm pretty sure that 80% of the people that have a CryptoPunk as a profile picture, it was not the ideal CryptoPunk that they thought of when they like, oh, that is what I envision as my PFP. But just because it's very scarce and it's unique, they're like, okay, this is my identity. I'm going to take this as my identity, even though it might not have been the one that I could have created. But because there's a scarcity and because the blockchain gave me this one, or not even because it gave me this one, but because No is selling that one and I like that one has the features I want, but not entirely, but at least 80% of it, I'm going to own that one, and that's my representative. Sorry, let me take a sip of my ginger tea.
Oh, Lyndon is going to be jealous if he hears this.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, the tea is cold right now, but ginger with cold water is also very, very nice, I feel. But
Nice.
yeah, to continue on what I was saying, that that they will choose that as their representative in the metaverse, and they own it, and that alone will also attribute value to those NFTs. Perhaps I'm going too much on a tangent and too far for the average NFT or game player to see, but I hope some of you at least follow where I'm going.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense because I didn't really give it a tremendous amount of thought from that perspective that you just described. This really helps because I was just thinking about this, and there are games that we have all played probably, and you can all imagine a certain character or no, a top player, top PvP or whoever it is, and he has this weird looking character, this weird looking item or whatever it is, and just because it is that player that has this charisma or he's that good, adds attributes a lot of value to that style or to that item or whatever it is, and then people are copying, they're mimicking that. Just because the top player or someone they like has that as well, so that actually makes sense. Really like this answer because it now makes me think in a different way. If I were to make my own character and if I would like see all the changes live, that then I would have like this, nice looking beard, this and that, looking like a true Viking. But the RNG factor is also pretty cool, like to come out with a surprise and embrace that.
Yeah, and then the problem here is that it appeals to me a lot because I also like that in normal games, but obviously it will not appeal to everybody. And that's hard here because we cannot create something that appeals to everybody. And that's where we need to make choices. And to be honest, again, within our team, we're having these discussions. I need to convince them, they need to convince me. But this is an interesting point that you just touched upon because this is a point of contention. But yeah, my vision, I hope I explained it a bit clearly. I think that is the vision for the metaverse.
Yeah, nice one, nice. Sometimes I would like to be present at some of these Valhalla discussions that happen at Valhalla headquarters. I think I would have a good time. Anyway,
True.
let's see. Do we have time for a couple more questions, Mr. Brownville?
Uh, yeah, sure. Again, it doesn't have to be all Valhalla, right? But go ahead, go ahead. We still have. I'm also chatting with Jackie, and I'm looking at him at the same time, and he's sweating a bit. And I think we are going to need some cereal with milk soon. But let me check on the ETA with him. But go ahead, ask your
All
next
right.
next question.
All right, then I will ask a specific question on the Clan Islands from Rolf, and then I'll ask a broader question that's not particularly related to Valhalla, but to Valhalla and to Floki ecosystem at large. Starting with Clan Islands, because I think that's a very nice addition to the game, and we are going to drastically expand upon that system as well, I believe. Rolf is asking, what kind of customization options should we expect to see for the Clan Islands?
Quite a lot, but yeah, I cannot, I cannot share. I mean, we had so many ideas and so many things that we've worked out, but the amount of things that we can actually produce is a bit less. But it's going to be fun. Your Clan Island is going to be, I think. So okay, so while we're on it, well, I like doing this to take you with me in that journey within Valhalla HQ and how these discussions develop. Right, I think that gives you the most. Um, that gives you the unique view of actually indeed witnessing the forming of how a game is created. And I think that is also why you're in Floki, why you're following Valhalla. So there are two trains of thought here as well. Because on one end, you want to create the clan islands very customizable and the place to hang out, etc., etc. But on the other hand, we don't want to make the open world feel empty. So if we make the clan island super duper custom, well, okay, customizable is something else because you can customize everything basically, but created a place that everybody continuously want to chill and there is no real reason to go on in the open world anymore, then we've defeated the purpose of the open world. So we need to balance making the clan island as attractive and fun to be and to invite perhaps other people as well to your clan island. Look at what we've built, look at what we have, look at our longhouse, for instance, come in, etc., grab a meat or a pint of meat, or how do you call it, I don't know. But that that shouldn't make the open world feel empty. So we're kind of balancing it, but yeah, long story short, there will be a lot of customization, but we also want to prevent that people just only hang out at the clan island, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that makes sense, for sure. I think one of the things that gaming a lot more fun is to share success together, to work towards completing challenges and quests together. So I think the introduction of the clan islands and the clan system is a massive advantage to the game in and of itself, but also to see other players enjoy the game, to have the feeling that you're not alone. Because there are many players who play Valhalla for a different reason, whether it's
Mhm.
for a financial incentive, whether it's to, some people try to escape like the real world, and maybe they have a very advanced character, and that's, feels them, empowers them in some way, whether it's in the metaverse, albeit in the metaverse. But yeah, having the feeling that you're not alone can be a great, adds a lot of weight to how people enjoy the game, I think. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, 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 definitely.
Nice. Okay. So this is a broader question about partnerships, potential collaborations. I saw a leak. We all remember maybe the leak where Mr. Brownwill shared a video clip of, I believe it was a me bit. It was this NFT walking around in a very interesting area that I hope we get to see soon as well. Are there like collaborations or partnerships with, be it an NFT project, be it another type of project with Valhalla or Floki aimed at boosting the Valhalla game?
Um, I could not disclose, even if I had some in mind or we were in talks. But what I can say is that we are open to these things. Um, on the other hand, we also want to make sure that because, to be honest, we are the center of attention. We are being innovative, but we are also being kind of neglected or ignored, I think, by other, let's say, gaming cartels.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we're open. Uh, I love me bits. My first NFT was a me. No, not my first one, but my, let's say, my first biggest investment in NFTs was a me bit. A few me bits. I minted those, and I like them. I like the community. Um, I also know that they're part of a bigger conglomerate of NFTs and games. So what I want to do is to make sure that some of these communities can come in Valhalla and enjoy it, basically. Um, in terms of having an actual partnership, yeah, like again, I hope I'm open to them, but I'm not going to, or well, eventually it will be up to the DAO. But at this point, I'm keeping Valhalla close to my heart and not revealing too much to these other parties, because yeah, you never know if their intentions are good or bad. So
Yeah,
yes, there
makes
are
sense.
talks. Let's say there are talks, but I'm pretty hesitant on letting people enter or in partnership with our brand, with the risk of them making use of our good name and our innovation, basically.
Makes sense, yeah. It has to seriously add value to Floki holders or the Valhalla game, and not just because, yeah, there are like bright green candles. We are interesting for now. People want to, join the hype to kind of piggyback of our momentum. It has to be serious, add a lot of serious value to us, to our community as well, of
Yeah,
course.
and I was specifically talking about NFT projects, by the way. If there are tokens that say, "Hey, guys, we want to sponsor a tournament, 1v1 Vera tournament, only big hairs allowed," so to speak, because they have a meme coin based on a bunny. uh, Let's talk. I mean, if our players don't get poorer by playing our game, basically, yeah, let's go. I mean, there's a lot of exposure here. They know that Saber, if he turns on the marketing machine, I've already seen which areas he's going to focus on first, and I can tell you, um, yeah, it's going to be great. So open invitation to anybody that wants to start sponsored partnerships or whatever within the game, in terms of yeah, letting our players be exposed to their ecosystem.
Yep. Yeah, Saber's always a couple of steps ahead, like a chess game. Talking about the chess game, it reminds me of the battle system within Valhalla, where you can battle other Faras, be it PvE or PvP, meaning a computer or another player. On that note, the team is concocting some interesting stuff. Sometimes we get a new Vera, and it just blows my mind. And I think this is the most OP Vera in the game right now. And a couple weeks later, there's a new introduction of a Vera, and it's like my new number one. I got a question from, I forgot the name, but the question is, it's about the various powers among Veras. I think that the stat allocation system will be introduced in the near future, which is maybe something we can talk about. He is also asking which Vera is considered the most powerful among them all, which is a tricky question because you want to balance it as to the best of your ability. But the more Veras you add, the harder I guess it is to balance. What do you have to say
Yep.
on that?
Yeah, good question. Balancing is a pain in the ass, especially as we indeed grow the selection of wares that you can pick. I think with the introduction of 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, what is considered the strongest will change because then you have multiple, right? To keep track of or um, be able to keep track of, or some that perhaps synergize very well and some that don't. But right now, I think the strongest ones in terms of okay, but let's say PvE. Okay, let's talk about PvE because PvP is down right now. So let's say PvE. I think the easiest way to farm in PvE would be with the Hushroom, um, the Flindor. Yeah, and perhaps carrots. I think those currently to grind. I think they might be the easiest to grind with because of the area of effect damage they have.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Am I
We
missing something? Am I missing something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we heard a little bit about the stat allocation system. Right now, we have power, we have defense, and we have hit points. So they get trained or leveled automatically after a battle. We will be seeing a more, like, how do you say that? This system will be more expanded, right? With the stat allocation
Yeah,
system, you can train
yeah,
various how do you say the characteristics of the Vera, like
yeah.
his wit or whatever. I forgot all these names, if I'm really honest. But do you
Mhm.
think that will allow players to create their own type of Vera that complements their playstyle? For example, one is a very aggressive player, so he's going to maximize all his points towards power and
Yeah, I'm
attack
going
and
to interrupt you. I think this is an awesome question. You know why? Because I've been butting heads with our lead game designer about this. Um, he is of the opinion that every Vera should have a meta playstyle, and my opinion is no. Every Vera should be able to be built as the player wants to play it. To perhaps that's not the most efficient tactic for that specific Vera, but if they want to play it like that, let them play it like that. You know what I mean? So yes, I won that battle internally. Every Vera is going to be so you're going to be able to allocate your points the way you want them. And later with ability trees and stuff that we have in mind, that also makes that, and that's I think further ahead, not yet there, but that you'll be able that players through playing and mastering specific Vera, they'll be able to change the damage type that the specific um, what do you call it, move does basically, right? So let's say double club from the bear currently does physical damage only, and yeah, you and this is purely hypothetical, not saying this is going to happen, but just to give you an idea of where we're going or where we want to go. um, it does physical damage, but you want to make a Bjorn that's very wisdom heavy, very wise Bjorn, right? Well, perhaps in the future, if you master your Vera enough, you unlock enough achievements, so to speak, then you'll be able to switch that damage type to wisdom. So not so your double claw is not skilled of your physical damage, but of your wisdom. So these kind of things we want to implement, because I do want to make sure that everybody, um, yeah, can play the way they want to play. Um, if you want a very physical or very HP heavy Flindor, go ahead. Who knows? You create some type of unique new meta, or it's suddenly very, very OP in farming or whatever. Go ahead. I don't think we need to hold people's hands and make sure their Vera skills a specific way. No, that's all up to you.
Yeah, awesome. I'm also a fan of what you just described. I'm glad that you won that battle internally. So people are able to craft, to create their own Pharah to their own liking, whether it's some Pharah that's very smart, you have very defensive playstyle, or you're a player like Ron, and you can use any help that you can get. Yeah, the Valhalla offers that to you. I think that is very nice. Moving on to communication, I think that's an interesting question as well. We saw emotes and emojis being added to the game, so you can do a backflip or something like that. You can wave at another player. A lot of people also want to write, like who have a written chat or an audio chat. I think it's a tricky one because sometimes ethical behavior hangs in the balance, but on the other side, it also adds a lot of more maybe of an immersive gameplay because you can just talk with other players, you can ask questions, and you're more into the game than having to switch to other apps like Discord or Telegram to communicate. What do you think about the addition of written or audio chat in Valhalla?
Good question. I think that's a tricky one. As in, how are we? That normally chat means you need, especially in the crypto chat. No offense, guys. I'm also one a degen. So, but yeah, they need to be heavily moderated. And I think we are going to introduce player to player interaction. So you can, what we want is that you walk up to somebody and can click on them or do something, and then you can invite them to a clan or perhaps say something or whatever. But chats is something we are very, very cautious of, because what would prevent somebody from coming in and well, we can ban words, but can we ban letters? You know, can we ban separate letters? What do we do with the Chinese community? Can they chat? We will moderate that. So these are all questions we're thinking about. Um, Perhaps we'll introduce preset sentences or something like that, or come up with a new innovative way to handle this. But chatting in the game is very, let's say, also for authorities, very, very tricky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, yeah, if you are an advocate gamer, then I think this makes a lot of sense, whether it's an MMORPG or FPS, it happens everywhere. Yeah, it's an interesting debate to have.
Mhm.
Let's see. Moving on to, we talked a little bit about characters. I didn't want to go over this question. Miss M, we appreciate you. So I wanted to ask this question and maybe dive a little bit deeper on it. We talked about characters, so being able to have a live view of your customizations when answering a questionnaire, so that has been answered. But the characters itself, being the anime characters or the Viking characters, we saw a very nice revamp not too long ago. Will we see another of this revamp? And Miss M is specifically wondering in regards to female Vikings, if they will look more feminine, for example, or just look different than they look right now.
Yeah. So there, she's talking about the non-anime version, right?
Correct.
Of the Yeah. Okay. So I agree. I think yeah, it's hard to talk about these things because yeah, you can be framed as I don't know what
These days, you
nowadays.
have to be very careful.
Yeah. So but yeah, I agree. They can look. Yeah, if feminine is the right word, I don't know. They can look a bit different. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, we're definitely looking at it. It also has to do with how we. I think it's the clothing that is the primary thing here, and if we change up the clothing, it will do wonders already. So we're looking at it. I'm not expecting anything soon, but yes, I have also noticed the same. Um, and yeah, we're taking a look at it basically. Eventually, we will have equipable clothing and whatnot, so you will be able, hopefully, to look like you want to look in game.
Awesome. Hope that answered the question, Miss Sam. And again, we do appreciate you and all of our Vikings in the community. Um, Miss Sam, just a bit of a feminine touch. Alrighty, alrighty. Moving on, because you were also open to answering questions besides Valhalla. So this is a
Yeah.
question from Sergeant Maroof regarding TokenFi and the DAO. I think the DAO is a very passionate topic within Floki. So Floki
Mhm.
holders can participate in the DAO. So meaning if they hold Floki tokens, they can vote during proposals. And if you stake your Floki tokens, the vote holds more weight. So if you stake for 4 years, for example, your vote is, I think, 4x as opposed as you are just holding the
Mhm.
Floki tokens. What is what? Oh my God, let me rephrase this one. So what if you hold TokenFi tokens? Will you also be able to participate in Floki proposals or more in TokenFi specific proposals in the future, if there will be any?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. Currently, and again, that can change, right? I'm not the sole, let's say, decision maker in this case, but I was, or I am the DAO pusher for Floki. And not to say that the others don't want the DAO, right? But I was the one that, well, had experience with it and brought the idea in. So hopefully, my opinion in this matter is a bit more, has a bit more weight. I feel and I think that we're going to go towards that, unless the Floki DAO. Oh yeah, that's a good caveat to make here. So the Floki DAO can change what I'm going about to say at any point with a proposal themselves, you know. But what I feel is that Floki governance should be handled by Floki holders and Floki voters, and TokenFi governance should be done by TokenFi holders and TokenFi um, voters, because right now we're pretty much like aligned. I think a lot of Floki wheels are also TokenFi wheels, holders the same, but at some point that will diverge as TokenFi focuses on like real world assets, AI, etc., and Floki has, let's say, a bigger suite of products under their hood. So I don't think that TokenFi holders should be able to vote on Floki governance because they don't hold the token Floki. That doesn't mean that in the future that the DAO cannot decide to say, hey, you know what? Because let's say in a year, TokenFi holders are still so much aligned with Floki holders, we want to give them a say as well. And that would perhaps look like, okay, if you have, uh, let's say perhaps it's 10% of your voting weight within TokenFi, that also adds to your voting power within Floki governance. So there are possibilities, but I would say I would split them
That
totally.
makes sense to me for sure. So actually, I didn't know about like the. Yeah, I know that you're in favor of DAO, but not the deeper passion for a DAO. So I had a question for myself as well
Mhm,
regarding the DAO,
mhm,
because I
mhm,
also see products leaning towards a DAO structure because of regulations. The more decentralized a project is, the I don't want to say safe. I don't know if you're truly safe, but it's you're in better shape than once there are like decision makers and the people you can point
mhm.
towards. Um, is the move to a DAO also made to make Floki more decentralized and out of the scope for regulators, or is it just because we are just passionate about the community project? We want the community to be involved in the major decisions that the project has to make.
Good question. I think it's definitely made to make Floki a decentralized project, not too reliant on single sources of, let's say, power. Uh, right now, obviously, there are core contributors, and well, we hold a lot of sway and a lot of influence, but we do want to make sure that Floki survives. Let's say, yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but let's say something happens to one of the other people or myself, then we would want that Floki can survive any of that. So with that in mind, decentralizing Floki through the DAO is definitely one of the drivers, but I don't think that regulations are a huge issue. I do think that if you're a DAO, you're definitely less inclined to, I don't know what kind of charge they can bring up, but to bring up any charge, because it's a group of people that are working together. But on the other hand, the DAO will always appoint delegates, right? Delegates to because you cannot, there cannot be a governance structure where everybody's voice is heard at the same strength of tone or whatever, because then nobody will be heard. So also within a DAO, people will probably appoint like, hey, they'll say, hey, no, not a will. You've been through the bear market. You've been Twitch streaming your ass off. I believe that your intentions for the DAO are aligned with mine. So I want to put you forward with my voting strength to to discuss these proposals at the table with other delegates or with other people that contribute. So I think in that sense, regulators can also point to those people like, hey, you're speaking for those people, so we want to talk with you about X, Y, and Z. And yeah, perhaps I'm going a bit of on a tangent now, but I hope you can follow me. So I think regulations aren't the primary concern here to move towards a DAO. I think indeed it is to make this a truly community movement. That has been our idea from the start. When I pitched it to B, when he recruited me, or when he told me like, "Hey, come join the team because I see some value that you can add," I immediately pitched like, "Hey, if you're going to do this, yeah, might be a good idea to move towards the DAO." And he was already game, and and also the other team members right now, they were already when it was um, let's say discussed, everybody was like, yeah, that's the way to go. So it aligns with our vision for a community project more than we want to make sure that it's safe for regulations. That's just probably an added benefit. But yeah, a true community movement is a DAO, and obviously it also has its trade-offs in terms of efficiency or bad actors being able to also vote in their own, let's say, benefit. But I think with the construct we've done right now, as in you need to um, stake for 4 years at least to have maximum power of voting. Yeah, we've made sure that if somebody is going to vote in a way that 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 is not good for the DAO, they hurt their own backs probably quite a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. I think this is a fascinating topic to talk about. Many more questions, but I won't go too deep into it. Maybe one question about it, because it's a nice segue to another question that's more Valhalla related. So, being a DAO, yeah, we are kind of a DAO, but not 100%, I believe. The Nottingham upgrade laid the foundation to become like a full DAO, 100% a DAO. But right now, let's say someone has a proposal within the community. He or she wants another type of Fera added to the game. We have a Discord channel where you can submit your ideas, but let's say someone has a bigger idea. Someone wants, I'm just going to say something crazy, like we have the Valhalla Treasury, we want to burn all the tokens, or we want to do this, we want to do that. We have a lot of ideas that we see in the community regularly. When this one community member gets to forward that proposal, and actually that proposal, that idea will be translated to an actual snapshot proposal, if that makes sense. will that be when we transition to a full DAO, or will there be again like this delegation that reviews all the questions within the community, and then that delegation brings forward a potential DAO vote?
Yeah, good question. I think everybody should be able to put up a proposal, because if you censor, or well, it can look like censoring if there's a group of people that are making sure that which proposals make it to the drawing board or not. So I think everybody shouldn't be able to make a proposal. I do think that delegates or people that are appointed by the DAO in general, they should have a leading role in endorsing which one gets, let's say, the most attention, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Uh, so I think it's a combination of both. So I think there will be the possibility for everybody to put in their proposals, because we also want external people to put in proposals, right? If I'm let's say I'm Vitalik
Hmm.
Buterin, and
Nice to
I
meet.
want yeah, nice to meet you too. No, I want to uh, let's say I want to make Flokify Locker a supported or promoted tool within the ecosystem of Ethereum, where every developer that works or gets onboarded with Ethereum also gets to use the Flokify Locker. They will need to be able to put up the proposal for like, hey guys, I want to do this, but in return, I would like perhaps a payment of 1 million worth of Floki, let's say. Then everybody would be able to vote on that. And that does means that everybody should be able to make that proposal from the outside in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Um, I saw another question. You already engaged in the chat, but I think it's a really interesting question because, for example, the game Fortnite, you have a creator code. So that's, how do you say, that stimulates people to make a lot of content, stream Valhalla or Fortnite on Twitch, and then they can get a return on their time investment in the game by having people buy a potential character, outfit, or emote, whatever it is, and they get a portion of whatever the cost of that emote or outfit or whatever it is. So they get a financial incentive to play Valhalla. Well, it's not a secret that financial incentives just boost the interest of many players. So we see it with a lot of giveaways as well. When you add a financial benefit to it, incentive, then the masses come. So can you talk more about potential financial incentives to play Valhalla for content creators other than the play to earn aspects?
Yes, I think there will be many. There will be a part of the treasury will be put aside for people. I think this is marketing. I think this is like people playing the game, streaming the game, creating content about it, doing YouTube videos about it. All those things are marketing. They are spreading the word, the gospel of Valhalla, and there will be a part of the treasury set aside for these people. So yeah, rest assured, we will be incentivizing and also creating apps, right? Creating dApps for the game Valhalla, I think Nikita was doing as one of the people that just create a second or a third party app. Like building upon the ecosystem of Valhalla will be incentivized, and I think it's better to start doing it than when we start setting up these specific funds or however we're going to distribute it. The ones that have already been doing it are the first ones in line to qualify for these things. So what I would say is, yeah, please, everybody that wants to do something or wants to monetize their knowledge or advantage or skills with Valhalla or Floki or Tokify even, go do it and then show it to the community, because this community will embrace those things. And when it's embraced, even if you would not want to, let's say, uh, uh, reward that, we are forced to do it. So even though we would never not want to do it. But even if we would not want to do it, we are forced to reward you guys because that's what the community wants, and this is a community project. So there's that.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful because I alluded to that yesterday very shortly with Saber on the call, and we talked about. I specifically said it is great to see familiar names back when we have green candles. It's always nice to say hi again to the OG, so to say. But I do hold deep respect towards the loyal community that has been here in the depths of the bear market, that have been on as many events as they can, be it on X Spaces, the Wallet Sessions with Lintern, or the Valhalla streams on Twitch. And I do think, I get also a lot of messages, a lot of the moderators get a lot of messages. Can I be onboarded to the team? Can I be a mod? Can I be this? Can I be that? We never heard of them before. And I think if you have shown the loyalty towards the project, it's more about the money. It's about the passion that you have, the belief that you have, and the vision that you share. And that's, it doesn't put you one step ahead. I think it puts you 10 steps ahead, in my opinion. Um, so let's see. Do we have
That,
any other questions?
yeah, no, that is definitely something I also want to say is like everybody that is a part of this team currently was a part of the community once. So if you just show what you can do in the community, there is no doubt that you'll be able to enter the team at some point. Um, I know for also for me, for a lot of people, when they started crypto, for me it was like now about almost 10 years ago. When they started in crypto, they're like, okay, I wish I could make this my living because I love being in this space. I love chatting with these people. I love diving into stuff about blockchain, about these tokens, etc., etc. This is your entry point. Put in the work, put in the time, and at some point you'll get the opportunity. This is really the not not just Floki and Valhalla as a play to earn game, or however you want to call it, play to own, is an equalizer, but this entire space is an equalizer. Like, you just need to put in, you don't need qualifications. You don't need to have been a mod, or to have been let's say a content creator for 8 or 10 years before you can even apply to a multi-billion-dollar market cap project like Floki. No, you just need to put in the work. Show us what you can do. Skills speak for you. I think Notable can also attest to it. That's the mentality. That's that's how you get ahead. So if you want to make it in this space, if you want to make a decent living next to perhaps the exponential gains that every loyal Viking that has been through us with the bear market deserves, true and true. They deserve all of it. Everything that's happening right now, they deserve it. But if you want to make a decent living next to it, put in the work and it'll come.
Oh yeah, no, I can 100% attest to that. I think it was one of the interviews I did with Saber as well, where he alluded to that a little bit. Like, yeah, for certain roles within Floki or other businesses, it is important to have experience in a certain realm. For example, if you're a developer, yeah, it's nice to have a paper, if to be educated in software developing or to have like this program language. But I think for a lot of roles, personally, I don't care what paper someone has. If someone has the passion, the loyalty, the work ethic, I think a lot more can be accomplished with that than someone who has, on papers, the best candidate. And I can 100% attest to that.
Even for devs, no. Even for devs, no. I mean, obviously, papers they speak volumes. Jackie, Oxford, whatnot, But if somebody comes and says, "Hey, I'm a Web3 developer or a web developer. I've done this and this, this." Okay, show us your work. We'll send you an assignment, and if you can explain what you did during that assignment, how you did it, why not? I think that is this space. That's what this space is about, not what traditional school did you go to, but what can you actually do? What
Yep.
can you actually bring? And that's what makes this space something I love. And I have to say that love during the work on Valhalla, but also Floki, all the discussions we had in the core team, also politics, blah blah blah, with I don't know which other project, and within our project, obviously as well. Sometimes that gets lost, right? But when you zoom out and you see all the people that have made it in crypto, all the people that have made it into specific projects that would never, or perhaps would have had a very hard time to make it in the real world, that makes me proud of this space again.
100%. I think it also ties in beautifully with the slogan that we have. I think we call the slogan Floki, the people's cryptocurrency. Whether you're born in an underprivileged region in the world or you're born with all the money in the world, I think everyone within the project has a chance to make it. I think that's a beautiful thing. I wanted to ask one question because it kind of serves as a bridge towards the Bonfire event. I know everyone who's in the Twitch right now is also eager to participate in the Bonfire event. Just a little bit more patience. This question is about scalability solutions. We had our prior Bonfire event was when we burned a lot more Floki tokens. I don't know if you guys were there, but yeah, we did notice the I think was a little bit laggy. Of course, we were in a very early stage, I think, on the in the game, and we were very
Mhm.
limited with the memory because we were we were building on Web3 as one of the avenues. Did the scalability like improve? Can we see an improvement this bonfire event and going forward? How much can you improve given the limitations that you have on Web3?
Oh, awesome question. I think, yeah, we've optimized very, very, very hard. I think 10 times more is possible right now than when we had the previous bonfire event. So I hope everybody will see that, will also experience it. It also is dependent, obviously, on servers, ping, etc., etc. But I'm pretty sure there will be a very, very much more smooth experience right now compared to them. The scalability on its own, well, the more money you throw at it, the scalable it gets in terms of servers. But I don't think that is the route. I think at some point you will need to split servers, and people will be able to join the server they like with the people they like, basically. So the scalability, yeah, it's the same as it was before Web3, basically. Um, the major difference here is that you can own your stuff, that you can um, take control of things, that you actually have an impact, that you can make money of it. So yeah, scalability, hard topic because we're not there yet. The entire world isn't there yet. Um, I think the way we're doing it though, with minimizing friction of you having to sign every transaction, I think that's the thing that gets us closest to the scalability that every single project out there wants. Because a lot of them take the easy way out. They just take a lot of stuff server side, if that makes sense, if anybody understands that. So they do a lot of stuff on their own centralized server, and that make you feel like, oh, you're playing a decentralized game. And then eventually some parts of it gets triggered on chain. While we are taking the hard route, we're doing a lot of stuff on chain, but you as a user, hopefully, are not experiencing the downsides of it.
Right, that makes sense. Um, so with a lot of players in the game, we see that clans are being formed. Of course, we have a couple of established clans at the moment, Valhalla Valkyries being one of them. Another clan I think is up there as well. We saw a Chinese clan being created not too long ago, which is great to see. I think the gaming market for the Chinese is very large, over 700 million gamers alone, which is a lot. Massive, massive market. With that being said, will we see clan tokens, meaning that you have the potential to vote on specific Valhalla ideas, suggestions, and whatnot with your clan tokens? Or will clan tokens be used for something different? If that's going to be a thing, of course, clan tokens.
Yeah, good question. Clan tokens was an interesting, innovative way to make clans even more interesting than they already are, and they're still planned, but they don't at this point have an impact on Floki. Like I said, I even don't want token 5 voters to have an impact on Floki unless the DAO decides. So if the DAO decides like, hey, clan tokens also have like 1% of weight of their tokens into Valhalla votes, they can, or into let's say Floki votes, they can do it. And they can even decide to say, hey, Floki DAO does not decide the direction of Valhalla anymore, but it's just clan tokens that does it. I would not recommend it, but also possible. So there are a lot of ways to go in this decentralized space. But I would say clan tokens decide on the clan matters and can also be used as a currency if they are a very good clan, obviously, to overtake other clans or to buy people's loot. Or yeah, I'm now leaking a lot of stuff that is still in development. But clan tokens can be very interesting. Can be a very interesting mechanic. But we also need to make sure that people don't get lost in all these mechanics. You know what I mean? Because we have a lot of interesting novel stuff going on, and we need to slowly introduce people to these aspects because there's real money involved at some point, and we wouldn't want people to make not the best choices with that capital.
Yeah. Yep. Good question. I agree with that as well. I share that sentiment. I have one interesting question because this was asked in our monthly AMA with B last Monday. The question was, with market conditions significantly improved since the last AMA, when do you plan on releasing Valhalla mainnet and the play to earn mechanics? And B answered that we had to have patience. Remember, I quote him, remember when we communicated last year that we will delay the Valhalla release to ensure optimal market conditions when retail is fully here? At that time, the market looked good, quote unquote, looked good. And we had some people saying we should rush to launch. In hindsight, our decision at the time was the best thing to do. So the decision being the delay. I think I'm not, maybe you can add to that. I think that basically, essentially, we could launch Valhalla on mainnet at any moment, but the longer you have the time to build, the more you'll be able to deploy the game with on mainnet. Are you keeping track of like market sentiment, the how much retail has entered the crypto industry, or are you like just going to focus on the building, and when the team gives the green light to launch it on mainnet, we're going to launch it on mainnet? Or what is your vision on this? Because I could assume as a developer, you want to release a product that is done, but it is hard with Valhalla to be ever done, I think, right? It's like writing a book. What's your vision on that?
You took the words out of my mouth. Indeed, Valhalla will never be done, in my opinion. As in, there will always be another addition we can do to the ecosystem. But to answer your question, I have two hats here. I have the hat of Valhalla lead, as in I lead the team that builds Valhalla, and I'm also the product owner there. So I decide where we go, etc., etc. Obviously, in discussions with the people that know their fields the best, right? But I also have obviously the Floki role, as in I, among a few others, keep track of what's happening behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, uh, retail, whatnot. All these indicators are indeed playing a factor, but also what we think with our experience, because currently in this team, you have a bunch of experience, and you can base decisions purely on data and still be wrong. But if you combine data with experience, more often than not, you'll be right than wrong, and that's what we're doing currently. So we're looking at, like you just said, data that comes from specific external suppliers, but also talk well, yeah, that might be the hidden flavor in our decision making around when launch and when do this, when do that. Ask in our networks, because we do have networks. Me being 9 years in crypto, and before Floki only DeFi, deep DeFi, and the bigger projects. He with his network of well, yeah, I'm not going to specify, but he has an enormous, gigantic niche network. Saber as well with his incredible network of an entirely different user base again. And also the extended team, obviously some people have their opinions and their networks, so we pull all this knowledge together, and then we decide to, okay, you know what, this is not the time. Or could also factor in other things like, hey, how much do we need, let's say marketing, how much of a build-up do we need to grant Valhalla the optimal chance of surviving not just Web3 competitors, but also Web2 or just traditional competitors in this space. So that's also a factor we put in. We also factor in like, hey, we want exposure for TokenFi. Okay, if you do TokenFi, Valhalla and Flokify and I don't know what together, it will all get diluted. The message will get diluted. So all these things are taken into account. And then we say, hey, you know what? Not now. Okay, then they'll tell me you are granted 1 more month or 2 more months or 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks to yeah to finish this of this or this feature, and then we'll revisit the situation again and see what we do by then.
Yeah.
So I cannot tell you when we're going to release it, but I'm telling you that we are taking a lot of things into account, and the longer again it takes to release it, the more features we will build in, and the better it'll be equipped to handle mainstream.
Yep. I think every decision that Floki has made so far is proven to be backed by data, to be an informed decision and not just one that is loosely made. I wanted to dwell on it a little bit longer because I think it's a fascinating discussion. Because in 2021, I don't know if the rebranding of Facebook to Meta was related to this, but we saw a surge of interest in Metaverse projects during that time. And a lot of projects started to build their games, their NFT games, play to earn games, and whatnot. And now, this year, they're about to release their games. So they've been building since the bear market, and many believe that this is the year that a lot of GameFi projects will be launching on mainnet. Do you share the sentiment that this year, A, will be a good year to launch Valhalla, and B, will see like a renaissance in terms of interest in GameFi?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope that that all the, because what I've seen up till now in at competitors is that they've promised the world, and they've come up with a tiny country called Netherlands. No, just kidding. But like I hope that that the gamify projects that we're building, they will live up to their promises, because yeah, like I've already seen, and that's also, yeah, perhaps to digress a bit, but also good to talk about. There is a huge project. I also follow them. I also have their assets. I also have their NFTs. But they made the mistake by uh, putting um, traditional game developers or game directors at the helm of their crypto project or crypto game, and that backfired huge. Like at the beginning, there was obviously like hype. Oh yes, we got this Activision Blizzard guy, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, our current community is not does not want yeah, I'm going to say Web2 game with just Web3 gimmicks. They want an entirely new game. They want to re-envision. They want to see what's possible in this new space. They want to see what blockchain can unlock for gaming, and not just, hey, here's another traditional game that we've already released a thousand of times. But now, instead of your items being not yours, you can also have your items. That is Web3. No, that's not Web3. So again, I hope that Gamify actually actually releases the games and makes them fun to play as well. I mean, another competitor of ours is like, I look with awe and I'm pretty jealous of their graphics, how they've done that. That's like amazing. And probably, yeah, also because they use a different engine, Unreal Engine, that's easier on the eyes basically. But I I look at the game and I'm like, "Ooh, this looks good! Wow!" And then I play it for like 5 minutes. I'm like, "Okay, but what now? What do I do now? Oh, I can go here. Oh, okay. I found these animals. I put them in an auto battler. Okay, I wait till the game's finished, and oh yes, I won or I lost. Okay, then move on. I don't think it's fun, and that's the huge issue that a lot of these games have is that they're either very nice to look at or they don't implement and they're not fun, or they are fun but they don't implement blockchain and they're just like a reskin of an ordinary game. While with Valhalla, we've not to tap on our back, but we've done an incredible job at not only making the open world seem like, hey, I want to walk here and chill with people, but also the Vera catching, the battles with Veras, the PvP battles when we had them and when they'll be introduced, they're fun. I
Yep.
actually enjoy playing those things. So to answer your question, I think a lot of games will be released. Will they be fun? I hope so, because that only makes us work harder and seem. Because we do have an internal battle going on, as in we want to be the first to release X. I'm not going to tell you what, but a specific thing uh, among the GameFi games. So there is a race. But also, I'm not very convinced that all these other GameFi projects that have been building through Bear are going to scratch the itch that people are wanting to get scratched, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, no, I hear you. 100%. I didn't mean to like head to the marketplace of insinuations regarding will GameFi see a renaissance. We all hope so because I think Valhalla Floki itself deserves the recognition. I think we are being recognized, but also for a large part being, I think, intentionally being ignored. I'm not sure. Hard to give a definitive answer on, but I hope that we will this year, and I think Vala is in great shape to be at the forefront of this of that trend. I do think because you alluded to fun, I do share that Vala is a lot of fun. I don't just say that because I'm I'm streaming it and part of the team, but people that have been on the Twitch can actually hear it. When we were doing PvP battles, all kinds of emotions, appear out of places you never knew they existed. So that's a lot of fun. What also added a lot of fun were events. And now this is a kind of a two-edged blade because on one side, there's this camp that says, like, if you focus on developing events, it hinders or it stalls the development of Valhalla itself. On the other side, there's an argument to make that if you make these events, you get more community involvement, and you need basically a community to succeed, or at least it is very important to have a loyal community to succeed and to also show like the game is fun. We are building this for you guys. We want you guys to have fun, even though we are on testnet right now. Let's celebrate this. Let's celebrate Easter, the launch of our new sister token, TokenFi. Will we see more of those events on the testnet, or is it now like, all eyes on mainnet release with as much content as possible?
That depends. This bonfire event was also like, okay, hmm, if you're going to do the bonfire event, it takes away attention of other things, obviously. But we cannot let these things go by. So we will balance those things. I'm not saying there will be no more event. I think the Easter event is too close by to do it, but yeah, crazier things have happened because the Valhalla team can work their ass off when needed. Uh, but I would prefer to focus on the actual release. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah,
Yep.
just to close off a bit before you. I hope you can hold on to your toilet visit a little bit. But I'm going to help the Valhalla team to make sure that everything yeah goes as planned. Thank you for this amazing stream. Thank you for streaming Vikings. Thank you for your yeah the crazy loyalty you're showing to this team, to all of us, to the rest of the community. Uh, Without all of you, none of this would have been possible. Thank you, and yeah, Godspeed, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. Baumwil, for all that you do. And also, we extend our gratitude to the Valhalla team that's been building this day and night relentlessly for the community to get this ASAP on the mainnet, but also in good shape on the mainnet and to find the right balance in that. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.